Hello everybody. There should be a special fuzzy term in the manual of the EU civilian mission stationed in Armenia for its employee or undercover intelligence officer linked to one of the member states operating through its base that had the misfortune to be caught by Azerbaijani forces whilst engaged in reconnaissance outside the area of the mission's mandate. Accidental trespasser in foggy inclemency is what I could think of, but something better, fitting the bill more admirably, will need to be found. This may be necessary in light of the recent detention that took place on the Azerbaijani-Armenian border if some concerns voiced in Azerbaijani media as to its probable particulars proved to be true. On the 3rd of February, a seemingly myopic Czech citizen was reported to have been detained near one of the checkpoints installed by Azerbaijan on the conditional border with Armenia. The report states that he passed through Armenian checkpoints and mined territories and entered the Azerbaijani zone before his detention. As to his current whereabouts and circumstances, the Czech side has already been duly informed. On the 5th of February, the Czech Foreign Ministry confirmed the fact of the detention on the grounds of an illegal border crossing, noting that their embassy in Baku is now seeking a consular visit. The question that begs to be asked and answered is why on earth a Czech national needed to cross the conditional Armenian-Azerbaijani border in such a clandestine fashion. How has he managed to traverse the mined territory? Due to the dearth of officially available information, we can only assume and surmise without prejudice. For the sake of argument, there is nothing criminal about conjecture. First of all, it is not commonplace, to put it mildly, for any European tourist to visit Azerbaijan via Armenia through the conditional border, risking mine danger. Furthermore, the border zone is not a touristic destination, so far as one can tell, unless this unfortunate Czech is some foolish freak who drenched his vacuum tobacco with some potent substance to observe the world from the glare of the Azerbaijani-Armenian border, with his drooping lids and pinpoint pupils misleading him as to locality. Alternatively, he could be an obsessive ornithologist or lepidopterist. These wild probabilities can easily be ruled out. However, we cannot overlook the possibility of him being an interloper of some kind with connections to one of the EU member states' intelligence units operating in the area via the aegis of the EU mission in Armenia, which is self-styled as a non-executive, non-armed civilian common security and defense policy mission, headquartered in Yeghegnadzor, known as Keshishkend in Azerbaijani, with 6 operating bases deployed on the Armenian side of the border with Azerbaijan. In fact, this is not a mere musing, but a probability. Nonetheless, as the Armenian media outlet Azerbaijani reports, the Czech ambassador to Armenia, Peter Pirinchuk, ruled out the possibility that the detained person could be related to the EU observation mission. The headquarters in Yeghegnadzor, Keshishkend, voiced the same, stating that no member of the mission had mysteriously disappeared lately. However, this answer does not dismiss the possibility of him acting at the behest of the European intelligence unit through the base of the mission's deployment area. The EU mission's declared mandate includes observing and reporting on the security situation along the Armenian side of the international border with Azerbaijan, contributing to humanitarian security in conflict-affected areas in Armenia, helping build confidence between Armenia and Azerbaijan, being self-described as an essential component of the EU's efforts in supporting the regaining of peace in the region. In view of Brussels' long-term objective to move Armenia away from Moscow's orbit, and Yerevan's growing expressed dissatisfaction with the security cushion provided by virtue of its membership within the Russia-led Collective Security Treaty Organization, the mission has been largely perceived as forming part of the regional balance of power, rather than constituting an effective peace-building measure. Plus, despite being described as a non-armed civilian mission, it is believed to be an open secret that mission's base is used for extensive reconnaissance missions, with many of its members being experienced former intelligence officers from EU member states, with France as the most notable contributor. In this vein, the recent visit by Brigadier General William de Meyer, commander of external missions of the National Gendarmerie of France, reported to be linked with French intelligence to the EU mission in Armenia, raised eyebrows in Baku, increasing concerns that Paris may be in the process of actively plotting to prepare Yerevan for further military action, encouraging the latter to launch an attack on the Azerbaijani positions gained subsequent to the 2021 May border clashes in particular. And in this context, the arrest of the unnamed Czech citizen on the 3rd of February appears to be of increased relevance. It goes without saying that EU and its civilian mission are perfectly entitled to undertake whatever activities they consider appropriate within Armenia's recognized sovereign borders. There's also nothing extraordinary in Brussels' desire to augment its position in Armenia, thereby effecting the gradual recession of Russian influence. However, the concern in Baku is that this should not be achieved at the expense of Azerbaijan's sovereign interest and to the detriment of direct peace talks between Baku and Yerevan. At a time when Azerbaijan and Armenia found themselves perched on the bilateral track, with any trilateral format deemed ineffective, it is a question of increasing pertinence as to whether Brussels is doing enough to contribute to the success of the process. EU High Commissioner Josep Borrell's latest remarks accusing Baku of making territorial claims, the growing narrative within European circles favouring the idea of emboldening Armenia vis-à-vis Azerbaijan in the South Caucasus, and espionage claims surrounding the detention of the aforementioned Czech national on the conditional border on the 3rd of February make one wonder whether Brussels is a force for good in the region. Thank you very much.